Here's a picture of 2747 Circe, Dallas, Texas, the home of my grandparents, Juanita and Jose Molina Sr. According to Dr. Renee Hobbs, images have enormous emotional power to affect our feelings at the same time that they inform, persuade, and entertain us. You will see images of my family, a family oral history project that I'll be telling you about today. Now, here's the final product of what I did, and I want to talk to you about how it took so long to get here, but yet it was the most satisfying, if not one of the most satisfying things I've ever done in my life. It's called Molina Chronicles. I remember for, it seemed like weeks, thinking really about whether I should take this leap or not to start an oral history project about my big, large family. Now, when it came time to decide, I always kept coming back to, what is my purposeful discovery? What am I trying to access? And in this course that I'm taking in digital authorship, it really begged the question of why? Why should I do this? I kept coming back to this central idea that was also in my textbook for the semester. And creativity is indeed an act of intellectual freedom, and it was something of an anchor for what I was trying to achieve. That act of intellectual freedom just alone allowed me to steer my project into a podcast, an oral history project, where the voices themselves express the agency, and I'm looking forward to sharing that. These voices are a collective of my dad and his 9 sisters, or eventually will be his 9 sisters. I was only able to interview a few, at least for now, and an uncle. They tell stories about my grandparents, about their struggles, about their successes, and it was so triumphant just to sit and listen to all of these amazing stories that indeed were authentic. Now, this led me to the next guiding question that helped to steer my project, which is, how is personal and social and political identity embodied in the practice of digital authorship? So this entire experience really helped me to understand myself better. I understand that through my family's history, these stories are knitted tightly within my own identity. They're interwoven and they intersect with the lives that I interviewed, my aunts and uncles, and even my dad. I also learned by producing this oral history project as a podcast that my authority and my authenticity are constructed through the spoken oral performances that were shared with me and how I interpreted them. Identity and agency were so intertwined with one another as I was creating to learn in this project. Dustin Kidd often notes here that in order to become competent, I had to learn to play, I had to learn to tinker, try new things. It is also noted by Dustin that everyone has a voice that is distinct, and that tied to the last leading and guiding question, which is that representation does matter, and the question becomes really key to help guiding the rest of my project. Now that project really helped to answer this guiding question. How do digital authors shape social reality through the works that they create? Now, the minute I published my podcast on WhatsApp or text threads, I've already begun to shape the emotional state of my family, getting reactions like, "Oh my, this is quite the emotional trip." Perhaps my audience right now is just my family, but I invite you to come along and listen to this podcast, which really helps to shape my own identity and the identity of my family so far. One of the biggest things that I really took away from this semester was that we have to take more responsibility for what we put out and what we create as digital authors. So here's another quick invitation to come and listen to the Molina Chronicles, a family oral history project. I'd like to give a big thanks and a shout out to my online learning community, EDC 534 Digital Authorship at the University of Rhode Island, along with my family who sat down for interviews in this wonderful project.